Chapter 24. No stars except one. The story is told by Joseph. The last set of strange visitors came in the darkest part of the night. I woke up suddenly to find them standing over me like tall rocks, their silent faces carved with slight smiles. "Shh," said their leader, his finger on his amused lips. "You'll wake the baby." Mary was next to me. She was asleep, her breathing slow and steady. Beyond her lay Jesus, also asleep. I scrambled to a sitting position. "Who are you?" "We followed the star," said one of them simply. He scuffed at the straw with his feet, clearing a space, and sat down cross-legged, twitching the thick fabric of his robes neatly over his knees. His companions followed suit. They were as dignified as if they were in a palace. One of them produced an oil lamp and set it burning. Then they began their story. "We come from the east," the first of them began, leaning forward and speaking in a low, smooth voice. "Some time ago we saw a new star rise, and we sought to learn its meaning. We consulted many scrolls," said the man on the left, whose dark hair was covered with an embroidered cap with silver threads in it. "And we learned that this was the star of a child who would be born King of the Jews. We came, therefore, to worship him," said the third man simply. "But we went astray," added the first one. "We made for Jerusalem, the capital of the Jews. We rode to the palace of Herod and requested an audience." "It is a sumptuous palace," said the man with the cap, rivaling even the great pavilions of the East. "It is a place fit for a king." He narrowed his eyes. "But our guesses were wrong. We have expected to find Herod himself dead and a child born to take his place. After all, it was said he would be born a king." The first man said, "But Herod still clings to life and to kingship, and there has been no child born in the palace." "However, the king was pleased to see us," went on the third man. "He entertained us very grandly. He asked us many questions about what we had seen and read," added the leader of the three, the first one to have spoken. I noticed that he had a gold ring in one ear. It glinted in the unsteady light. "But at last he told us we must go to Bethlehem. There was a prophecy we had overlooked," explained the man sitting on the left. "The king's scholars drew our attention to it." "A prophecy," added the first man, "addressed to the city of Bethlehem itself. Out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. The new king would be born, perhaps had already been born, here in this very own town." The three of them looked at me with an air of triumph. I shook my head. "But Bethlehem," I said slowly, "there are a lot of people in Bethlehem. Why are you here?" For a moment they were silent again, smiling those mysterious smiles. Then, "The star, of course," they said. "We followed the star," and they looked up as if they could see through the ceiling. Mary stirred beside me. Her eyes were moving beneath her lids. The baby wiggled too. I said, "The star led you exactly to this house?" They nodded. "See for yourself." So I stood up and tiptoed out. The air was even colder outside, and the sky was absolutely black. No moon, no stars, except one. I had to bend my neck right back. It was directly above me, eerily close, bright and glimmering and pure white. I laughed out loud. When I got back inside, I found that Mary and Jesus were awake and the 3 visitors were on their knees bowing deeply. That was the moment when they unwrapped their gifts. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh, they said. The coins gleamed in the lamplight. The flask's rich scent curled into my nostrils. But why? Mary was gasping. Why have you come? You say he is the king of the Jews, but he is not your king. I don't even really understand how he is our king. That's what the angel told me he'd be, but right now the king of the Jews is Herod, and after Herod it will be one of his sons and someone else the emperor chooses. I really don't understand. Without making a noise, the men straightened up again, sitting back comfortably in the straw as if they belonged there. They looked from Mary to me and back again, their chiseled faces very serious. He has been sent by your God, has he not? Said the man with the silver cap quietly. He has been sent not just as a ruler, but as a shepherd too, one who will care for his people and provide for what they need most. To rescue us, I said. To save us from our arrogant selves. Yes. The man's dark eyes flickered. We have no king like this for our people. We have no God like this. He seemed rich to you, perhaps, said the man with the gold earring. But we are as poor in spirit as anyone. We know sadness and pain and anger. We face darkness and distress. What solution is there to these things? But we have hope, the third and quietest of them added, because we know that your God is a generous God, one who will be shepherd not only to your own people, but also to foreigners like us. Did not Ruth, the great-grandmother of your King David, come from an eastern land? And did she not become part of your people? And did not the prophet say that this child would be a light for the nations? Added the man with the cap. Therefore, said the third man gravely, we have come to worship him. They knelt down and bent themselves forward, stretching out their long fingers so that they just touched the clothes Jesus was wrapped in. Then they stood and rearranged their robes and were gone. If it hadn't been for their gifts, we would have thought it had all been a dream. But there in the straw were a tall flask, a round casket, and an ornately carved wooden box. Mary opened the box hesitantly and ran her fingers through the pile of gold coins. They clinked musically. They shone like the stars. We looked at each other. He really is, I said. He really is going to be a king. Mary uncorked the flask, reeling a little of its heavy scent. At the same time, Yakin lifted up his head and brayed angrily, spewing hot, smelly breath over all of us. I burst out laughing. But how that is going to happen, I have no idea.